And take MakerDeck out of my ears.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Z Zed Show. Today we'll be slicing and sharing,
I just
or
lost
sharing and
my audio
slicing.
again.
That's
There we
fun.
go. I'm good. I'm good now. Good now. So we have
All
multiple zombies on stream.
right. Is this thing on?
Is this thing on? Hi everybody. Welcome to another Z and Zed. I
I'm
think,
Z,
right?
you're
And I'm
Zed.
Zed. We're professionals.
Very professional.
Professional. Yeah, yeah,
Waiting for everyone to roll
exactly.
on
So,
in. Welcome everyone in chat. Insert theme song. Yeah, this
yes.
is where we'd do our intro, have a nice overlay. All right.
Is someone
So
here? Someone said the echo. Is there an echo? I don't know. I don't think so. Is there?
should
I
be.
don't believe so. Hi, Justin, aka Omaha, and hello, Bob. We've got Chem Nerd. So, people that are joining us live, we'll say hi to all of you. We've got Mighty Bean, we've got Raw Bank, we've got Fat Boy, we've got Fix 'em Dude, we've got Bob Carnes, Kieran, who's also watching MakerDeck, wherever MakerDeck is somewhere, and Chem Nerd, uh, Swans. You have two. You have two streams open. Perfect.
That'll do it.
K2
A lot of
Kevin is
times
here.
I'll have the stream open and then I'll go to YouTube to find the stream because it tells you when people are live. That's always funny. So
But
why
I
don't we
do
just
have
hop into our
MakerDeck
first
for you
topic?
too.
And that would be
Yes.
what we're working on or what have we finished this week. And for me, I will have to say that's been this little printer. So let me spotlight myself. Um, this is the Rook printer. I've showed it off before, but it's a mostly 3D printed printer that uses PLA for the frame, and it's something that's honestly fairly simple and straightforward to build. It's a lot of fun. These things are becoming more and more popular, and this is the final kind of iteration of it. So I've been spending the last couple of weeks putting this together, and it is working. I got some prints off of it. I tested a Moon City V2. Apparently, there's a keychain version, so I printed that. That worked out pretty good. A couple things to tune, but overall pretty happy. And then a little phone stand that's too small for my phone, but it would look decent in that color. And yes, the color scheme, I quite like it. It's a nice color. I like how it looks, and I'm excited to play around with it and see what I can do. So this is available. I'll leave a link in the description of more info on it because there's a lot of people interested, and I know some of you guys in chat are also working on one. And I just designed side panels for mine. So this helps with a bit of rigidity and should keep the thing more stable. So I've been playing around with a couple of the designs, might tweak it some more. I did a different one on that side. So this was just quickly printed and I can screw onto the existing frame and stiffen it up. So going forward, I'm excited to make some mods and um, show it off. And I'm really excited to see what everyone else is going to make with these. And I will be bringing this over to the Rocky Mountain Riprap Fest if I can. And a little more info on that later. So Liz, are you ready to
All
share
right.
your makes?
Yes. So, what I've been doing is I've challenged myself to something. I have taken old makes that I've done and used the new skills that I have, the new printer that I have, all of those sorts of things, better filament, all those different factors, and I've remade some things. But first, I want to share some things that I made uh, just in the last couple days. One is Bugman has a new model, and this is the I want you for your brains, or your like Valentine's brain
Those look pretty cool.
model. So I did. It's kind of funny because this filament, this is another thing. Sometimes if you use cheap filament, you end up getting what you pay for. So when I was trying to take it off the bed, and with lightning infill, it pulled, the bottom pulled. So anyway, it still ended up pretty cool. I did two different sizes, and this is obviously a silk rainbow. And I just finished two different things actually. One is a secret. Someone has made a cable clip. There's triangles there. And then one of Fat Boy's Valentine's things. You're supposed to put a lollipop there, and this one says thanks for not sucking. So it's something that he's doing for his daughter. There's a couple different phrases, but this one's really cute. So thanks for not sucking. Yes, and Kieran says that Bugman popped into chat last night and saw everything being printed after I went to bed. So that's pretty cool that he saw. Karen, damn it, it's Karen. She was printing it. I know Fix'em Dude was printing it. So a bunch of us were printing this zombie eating. And I did have a little problem on the big one with I did the chin supports, but that was my own doing. I didn't take a look at what I was doing. Another thing that I did, I did the little fan rake that's been advertised different places. So I did the fan rakes. They're pretty cool to clean your fans. But what I've been working on, as I mentioned, is improving something that I did in the past. And I'm going to share my screen of my shame, my before and after. So first up we have, this needs to be bigger. First up, well, I'll show this one first because this is the one that's on the bigger screen. This is something new that we're doing. So this is Pink's Badonka Gonk. And the original one I did, I think I ended up printing upside down. I didn't understand supports, all sorts of things. This time around, it turned out a lot better. As you can see, it's with Jabba the Hutt, but it is a gonk droid with a butt. And if anyone follows Zach Rutledge on Twitch, they know about this emote. So Pink had made one. It's a gonk droid with a butt. And so that's the first one that I remade, because the first one was not so pretty. I think can we zoom in here? Let me see. I don't know if I can zoom in. Oh yes, we can. So the first one had really look at the layer lines on that, and just not sliced well. There's debris everywhere, and just not a nice one. Hello Mud Wars, and hello Major Gamer Geek. For anyone that's joining us live. And then the second thing I did was Jabba the Hutt. And this Wexter actually just released this on printables before it was something from Patreon. And with this Jabba the Hutt, the articulated Jabba the Hutt, the first time I did it, as you can see, I had a layer shift. I had, every problem under the sun you could imagine. Not really a clean print. And now I did it in, of course, nice Pro-Cement Mystic Green. I've also done one in, I'll show it. I don't know. Anyway, I can show a better picture later. Or I can just show a better image in a second. Anyway, so I redid that one. I feel pleased to have that one redone as well. With that one, I made a whole bunch of changes as well. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Yeah, so this is the one that I did in the Protopasta Cotton Candy Nebula. And this one I sliced at 0.18, I think. And so it's very nice and smooth. Yeah, here's the other ones. Yeah. So this is in the Pro-Cement Mystic Green. And I've also, so anyway, with that one, of course, I learned that when you're doing something articulated, you want to slow it down. You really want to slow it down to get the first, actually more than the first layers. You want to get everything, really well printed. and use decent quality filament. Try not to do a silk for something articulated necessarily, or a cheap silk, because before I was using some sort of like random Amazon silk. And Yeah, keep an eye on your print. Watch out for layer shifts. Don't go to bed when you're doing something articulated like that. I know Pink was having issues with something articulated the last couple days, and she had the problem where she like left the house and it, something disappeared. It all got destroyed. So yeah, make sure that you get some really good first layers, and that's something. And also when you're slicing it, make sure that you slice a good layer height and all of those sorts of things. So you learn that over time, and that's what I learned. And so this was like a victory for me, because it had been one of those things that was sort of weighing on me, like, why could I never print this properly? The other printer that I was using also didn't have a proper bed leveling. It had all kinds of problems. So I
Bed.
feel great. And then I showed it to Wexter, and then Jordan and I convinced Wexter to release it on printables this week. So and the funny thing is, I printed it almost a year to the date that it had been released before. So that's kind of cool.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So
Bed
that's
leveling
one
is
of the things
definitely
I've.
very, very important for any type of flexible like that, because you have very small areas of surface contact, and if just one of them comes up, then you lose the whole model.
All
All
right.
right.
So
So that was that segment, and we have links for that. I will put them in chat.
oh yes,
Have
and
the
I
Jabba
also
Hutt
should.
articulated.
Yeah. And I also would be remiss if I did not show off the other thing that's on my list here, that I just finished today. And this is Built Over Bot. This is also Star Wars. Built Over Bot has the mini banthas, and it's on printables too. There's my camera. There we go. And this was done. And this is something where you could use, this is a fairly cheap silk filament, but it's a solid piece. So it worked out pretty well. They're pretty cute. So I
I
had a
like
very
those.
Star Wars couple of days. So yeah.
Very cool.
All right.
All right,
So
that's new.
I think we're gonna end with show and tell. I'm just letting you know so we can
Yeah, of course.
continue on with
I'm gonna go down the
things.
list.
I'm gonna get it set up.
Okay. So we're gonna start doing a small segment of news or stuff that we've heard. Ginger wants to join us too.
Oh, well, we love
Uh,
having Ginger join us.
yeah, of course. Something that has been pretty desired in the community is updates to Prusa Slicer. A lot of people use Prusa Slicer. A lot of Prusa users use Prusa Slicer. A lot of other printers work very well with Prusa Slicer. And they've finally added their 2.6 version, which is an alpha currently, so it's still in testing, but it works pretty good. And they've added so many features. If Ginger let me let me click, so many features that have just been either missing or um, the community has been begging for a while, plus additional stuff that no one thought about. So there's now organic supports, which is an iteration of tree supports that even better supports the models in even better ways, should be easier to remove. Um, I haven't actually used them personally. I think you might have
Oh, I
used
have.
organics. Okay.
Yes,
And
I'm
a
definitely
lot of
using
people
organic supports.
a lot of people have great results with them, and it's still in beta, so they can change stuff up and keep improving. But I'm excited to have those because everyone hates supports. No one likes using supports, so having them work better and more consistent is always good. There's now a measurement tool inside of Prusa's Slicer. That's a pretty big one. So you can, measure your model if you download something and don't know what size it is, or a specific portion of a part, you can measure it and maybe do something with that, scale it, etc., or just know what size a part is. Something I didn't know that I wanted until I saw it as a feature was the text embossing tool. You can
Yeah,
add
and I'm going
text
to show it.
anywhere.
Yeah,
Look at this.
so
So you
I
can
have it right
take
here.
the any model. Of course, it has to be, if you're going to release it, it has to be remixable. But if you're just going to print something at home, you can take your model and add in text pretty much anywhere.
Yeah,
And the
and
way you do it's
it's
not
pretty
bad
easy.
either.
Yep. Yeah, you can choose from all the fonts that you might have. And yeah, it's pretty neat. I was really thrilled with that. And yeah, I can quickly show organic supports. Let me just grab something really quick. Let's The organic supports I found are really fun. Um, Let me find a file. There we go. Let's find. I'll do the zombie that I did.
Awesome.
Okay, and I'm gonna choose supports everywhere. And if you go in here and you go into support material, you're gonna pick organic supports, which I've already done there. And when you slice it, of course, this might slow down my computer for a minute. When you slice it, you're going to end up with some really fun. They look cool. I mean, even on this, especially on this model, they look really cool. So you see, like, this is what you end up with support. So you got support in the mouth, you got support under the ears, you got support under the chin, and some little other parts. I think you can also add on painted supports. You can paint on more supports if you want, but this I did supports everywhere. And yeah, so it's pretty cool. You know,
I believe,
I I'm having fun experimenting with it. So
yeah, I believe you can also do support from build plate only, so it
yeah,
doesn't put,
okay, so I'll yep,
yeah, there we go.
there we go.
And then one of the features that's slicing is the cut tool update. So you're now able to take any model and slice it in half. So maybe there's a really hard to print
Yeah.
model like this. You could chop off the head, print it separate, and then it has a indexing tool built in that you can
Okay.
print and then slide it back on. So that's an option for people who don't want to use supports or a model just wouldn't be able to be supported adequately.
Yeah. I don't know if I haven't done that yet. So is it split? Oh, the cut feature got a lot of improvements as well, and they added alignment pins.
I
I
haven't
wish
either.
maybe someday maybe I should have done this with Bob beforehand.
Oh yeah,
I'm trying to see
split to
where.
objects, split to parts.
Okay, split to parts. Is that what I'm looking for?
Is it?
Maybe we'll see. I don't know. I'm not sure. So I'm going to close that.
Oh, okay. It's on the side. It's called cut, and then
Okay, cut. It's on this
yeah,
side. All right. Let's go.
you can edit things,
Can I
choose
go
which
back?
direction.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. See, we're learning. We're learning as we go along. So it's the cut feature, like that one. Okay. So I've done that before. So
Yeah,
you kind of choose where your cut is. So let's
and now
say
you
we're
can
gonna
angle it too.
okay. So you can
So you can drag the arrows different
angle.
directions.
I see. I
And
see.
then the really
Neat.
cool thing is the add edit connectors button. That's kind of where it shines.
Okay.
So now you're able
Neat.
to add in connectors, whatever size you want. I think different shapes. Yeah,
Okay.
different shapes for alignment. It's pretty
Alignment pins
cool.
would be nice for the MakerDeck logo. That would be cool. Yeah, don't ask someone who has really poor spatial relationships to try to share something like that. So, we'll stop if you want to do anything, but not me.
No, that's pretty good. So that is the new
Yeah,
Purchase Slicer. It's still an alpha, so it's not a final release. There will probably be bugs, and they'll continue to improve it and eventually release it. So take a look at
yeah.
Purchase Slicer.
I already had an issue where when I was resizing something, it would change things to really strange values. So I haven't reported that
Hmm.
yet. I need to, but it was doing some really funky things. But these are things that happen. So
Yeah. All right. Next, we have a printables competition. There's only one right now. It is the Valentine's Day competition. So get in on that. Make a model that's Valentine's Day related and post it. Try to win on printables. You can get some Prusa meters. You can use that to order filament, or I got myself a hoodie. The Prusa hoodie is pretty nice. And with that, there's also another competition going on, hosted on printables. And this is a fun one. It's the E3D Valentine's competition, but their model that they chose is extremely difficult to print. You essentially have to print on bridges, but like one line of a bridge. You'll have to check it out and see, but give it a shot. See if you can do it. If you can, that'd be great. I tried just briefly in a couple printers, and it's not like the spider. It'll be difficult. So I'll be excited to see people printing that on MakerDeck and see if you can complete it. Fails are fine, but I like to see the process. And if you win that, you get a Revo from E3D. Then our last little bit
and
of news is the Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest. But before that, we do have a giveaway for a spool of Polymaker filament. If you're in the US or Canada, it's a $40 voucher to the
mhm,
US or Canadian store. So make sure to enter that if you want to win. We'll be drawing at the end of the stream.
there we
But the
go.
Rocky Mountain Rep Rap Fest is going to be in Colorado in April. You can visit the site for more information, but I'll be going. I'd love to see who's going from MakerDeck and show some representation. It's gonna be like Earth, if you've heard of Earth, but different area, slightly different, but the general overall concept. A lot of vendors, a lot of people in the 3D printing industry, they're all gonna be there. So if you can, definitely show up. It's free to join the event. You just gotta make your way there. And if you're interested in going, make sure to sign up now because it gives them an idea of how many people are going, and it's free. Anything else on any of
So
those?
no, I think yeah, we've been hearing lots about the Rocky Mountain Rep Rat Festival, and apparently you're going to be part of a very, very large table that keeps on
I,
growing. So
I guess
that's
so.
kind
The
of
whole table is going to
that's
be.
kind of fun.
Well, that's the thing about this industry is that there's a lot of. We're all friends, right? Like even companies that do, they have competition. They're all friends, and that's pretty fun to see. Everyone gets
Hmm,
along and just driving innovation. So everyone being able to go to these events and share the love for printing, I love to see that.
perfect. So what else do we have here? It's a Monday, okay? It's very much a Monday for us. Oh,
Yeah.
one thing that we haven't talked about is for the next couple of hours at least, MakerDeck merch is on sale. So if you go to,
I guess shit like
let me
this.
go to here. I'm just going to get the link. MakerDeck.store. It is 20% off. Uh, so I'm working from like all different links here. There we go. Professional. Yeah, so there's the MakerDeck merch. So if you go to MakerDeck.store, there's all sorts of fun MakerDeck clothing, including what Austin is wearing there. So Zombie's gonna show his stuff. Um, all of my MakerDeck shirts are not the right size for me, so I am going to get some new ones, and I think I'm gonna have to do that tonight because it's twenty
Yeah.
percent off. So
You should.
take advantage of
There's
it.
a lot of nice styles on there. All are mostly made by Fix'em Dude, and you can mix up the colors. I got the blue with these logos. See what works best for the logo. I got a brown one that has I think it's the Star Wars style. Um,
Hmm.
they're pretty good and they're comfortable and pretty
And
high quality.
you have the grayscale. You have the
Yeah,
grayscale.
the
That's what
grayscale
you
one's
wore.
good. Yeah,
Yep, that's the last one you wore. So yeah, and also there's posters, there's stickers, there's magnets, there's
there's
dog dog
clocks.
dog. There's clocks.
Get
There's what
yourself a
else do we
MakerDeck
have? Oh,
clock.
nope, notebooks,
Really want one of
notebooks.
those.
I'm dropping things, so it is typical of me doing any sort of stream. Yeah, there's notebooks. There's my MakerDeck notebooks. So we want to see if the QR code works. There you go. That'll take you to our Twitch channel, which is streaming 24/7. Yeah, so there's all sorts of MakerDeck merch, and I think at least I think everything's 20% off, or the clothing is 20% off. So yeah,
Oh, at least you
that's
got
the
some
only clock that
clothes.
Fix'em Dude has seen. So there you go. Fix'em Dude has now seen a MakerDeck. Yeah, I was gonna say, well, I can show you. Actually, I could show you some stickers because I have them on my. Some of the stickers are on my. There's a MakerDeck sticker. There's Fix'em Dude. I have Fix'em Dude stickers. I've got Maker Viking stickers. I've got Anyway, on my iPad. So
Very nice.
yeah, I'm fancy that way. That's the kind of girl I am.
I never
No,
use
it's my
stickers.
iPad.
I collect
Yeah.
stickers by getting them and never using them.
All right.
Everything in the whole shop's 20%.
Um,
Awesome.
yeah. And what else are we talking about? Are we going to talk about slicing?
Talk about slicing.
Well, we talked about the slicer, but are we going to talk about
Sure.
slicing?
Sure, we can spend a few minutes doing that and then go into this
Yeah.
mix.
Okay.
So
well, I can sort of tell. Do you want me to start, or do you want to start?
yeah, I'll let you start. I'll ask you a question.
Okay.
How do you approach slicing? Do you use a basic profile when you open your printer, you use the base profile and you go from there? Or do you go through every option and kind of modify everything because you know what you need?
For me,
Or a
it
mix of
depends
both?
on what I'm printing. Yeah, it depends on what I'm printing. So for example, if I'm just doing something like, just a basic like print like this, I just open up my general profile. I have used Bob Carnes's in chat. Bob sort of said, for at least for my Prusa Mark III, to for the filament profile, to keep the Prusament as my general profile. So for things like that, I'll just do regular, either 0.2 or 0.3, depending on what it is. And I just slice, and then you look for overhangs, you look for all the different types of variables. But for something like this, you definitely want to open up the slicer. You want to make sure that your layer height is nice and detailed. You want to check your speed. You want to check. You might want to check on the filament settings depending on what your printer is, and go from there. And then you want to slice it. Then what I usually do for something like this is I move the image around. Bob does 0.15 for everything. I don't. But what you want to do is sort of move things around on the bed, check for overhangs, check for any errors. I find that I've tried a few different slicers, and I have chosen a slicer, but I also have a Prusa, and I also have a profile for my other printer, my Focus, which is a different profile. That was actually given to me. The profile was given to me by Filament Frenzy, who I think he knows a little bit about that sort of stuff. Anyway, so I have different profiles for my printers, and different settings depending on what I'm printing. But if I want to just like do something small, I'm not that careful. But if I for this one I did I made sure that the layer height was good, and I slowed it down, and made sure that you know um, that worked out. Um, yeah, but you definitely want, especially for even something like this, or something that you think might be simple, you do want to check. For at least for me, I check the overhangs, and also when you download something from wherever you download the STL, oftentimes they do give you guidance. So, for example, with with something like this, they might say, you need supports under the, I don't know, something like this, maybe. Let's say it might say, please, use supports under the chin, at the ears, the back of the head, whatever it is. Read the guidance for, that the designer has given you. There's a reason for that. And also, even for something as simple as, well, not as simple, but something like slightly mechanical, if they say, you want to make sure that you use supports, or that certain tolerances and stuff like that, you want to pay attention to that. Because the worst thing for someone that, hi Jano, the worst thing for someone that has designed something and put a lot of work into designing a model, is for someone to give them, especially on somewhere like printables, for them to give you a low star rating, or to complain on social media about their about their model. Like, for example, I have printed this BD1. This is a Fix'em Dude model. I have printed this BD1 many, many times. I found that some filaments work better than others. What I ended up doing in the end is I did read all the instructions, all the different things, but I did end up finding a filament that worked best for it. And this thing has never, like, I could take the head off right now if I wanted to, but it doesn't fall apart. And yeah, so make sure you read the instructions. What do you do when you're how do you decide how to slice, Austin?
Um, I I've been printing for almost a year now, and I've probably changed most of the slicing settings. So I've developed a general understanding of kind of the relationship between the settings and the final product. So yes, I will read the instructions, and if they do give guidance on layer height, what works best, sometimes layer height or layer line width is recommended because the model is designed to be printed with certain heights in mind. So think of raised text. The raised text might be a certain layer height and might print best at a certain set layer height. So it's usually important to read that. And supports, that's a big one. Like you said, they'll list off supports or a picture of where to support stuff. It's so nice when that's included. I very much recommend posting a picture of a sliced model with the supports that work for you, the designer. That's very helpful. For me, I set up my own custom profile based off the stuff I like. Something I'm playing around with is increased line width. So for a point 0.4 nozzle, you don't have to run every single line at 0.4, 0.45. I like to run my infill higher, solid infill. I've been trying 0.8 millimeters on a point 0.4 nozzle. So hypothetically, twice as fast, or a conservative amount. So just increase line widths to decrease the movement speed of the printer, but also still get nice fast print. That's been useful. And then layer heights, I print almost everything at 0.2, unless it's a very detailed
Yeah.
model. Like this one right here, I probably should have printed lower, but I wanted a quick print. And as a test print, 0.2 works well for me. I've also done 0.3 on a 0.4 nozzle. Vase mode. That's a great suggestion or question or comment. Vase mode is one of the coolest slicing features ever. You can make very quick prints like this, and a tip for vase mode, don't use the default line widths. These are very thin. If I printed this with a 0.4 nozzle using a 0.4 line width, it would just crack. Personally, I increase my line widths for vase mode around 0.8 0.6 to 0.8 depending on the model. But yeah, that's a very, very good option. Have a low layer height, but a large line width, and you get nice, strong. This thing is pretty good as is. And I printed off a lot of vases to test and just for use around. This one right here, one of my favorites, is a 1.2 millimeter line width base mode print on a 0.4 nozzle. So 3 times the nozzle size, and it printed fairly well. Nice and strong and like solid. Is there anything else I'd talk about for slicing? No, I just I look at the model and take suggestions from other people. Sometimes I'll ask like, what's the best way to slice this thing? And someone else in the community who may have already printed it or has more experience, they might give a good suggestion like, oh, for this specific thing, you might want to adjust this. So listen to
or you go somewhere like Show and Tell, and
Mhm.
and you can ask the people that have already printed it. Or the other thing you can do is look at, if depending on whatever site you got the model from, look at the makes, and people will
Yep.
often say what filament they used, and what they did to print it, how they printed it.
Yeah, when you post your makes,
Yeah.
just give your basic settings. Like say I print this at this with this filament. It goes a long way
Yeah,
because
and
I'll look myself and see.
yeah, and Jana was mentioning something that's very valid. Trial and error is sometimes the best solution, especially if you're doing your own model. If you're creating your own model, for example, my heart box, my heart vase thing. I would do, I when I was first trying it out, I would try doing, you can stop and inspect things and make sure that everything is good. And so don't hesitate to do test prints of things, and even shrink it down and test it out as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good idea. Or slice, if it's something major, slice one component of it. That's actually what I did with the BD1. And I realized that a lot of people like to do the card kit, but I don't like doing the whole thing. What I did is I actually separated it into 3 different prints. I don't like to print everything all at once. I don't like errors. I don't like mistakes. So I tend to do batches. So I figure out everything that was pretty much the same level, or the same style of part. And that's how I ended up printing that for things that you have to put together. So
One
that's
final tip
that's
I'll
what I
give.
tend to do.
Try different slicers and set up your profile in at least like 3 different slicers. At the minimum, Prusa Slicer and Cura, it's good to have those both because they do use different slicing engines. So you will get different prints. They might look the same in the end, but they might slice different for some models. So take, for instance, that E3D model we're talking about, the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Cura might handle bridging different than Prusa Slicer. So play around with different slicers for different types of models. Maybe one of them works better.
Yeah, absolutely. Does anyone in chat have anything to say about slicing? Is there anything that you do aside from trial and error? Yeah, Adam Fandon said I usually go with the default Prusa slicer settings. Um, and oh, someone's asking about a specific printer. So if people want to do that in chat, or of course you can go to the MakerDeck Discord. That's actually another good place where you can get lots of information, and people can help you with specific things. But that's one thing. And I see that Justin is in chat, and yes, we actually did talk about Rocky Mountain Rep Festival already, so we're going to have a link to that in the description, and hopefully there definitely will be MakerDeck representation there. We'll say that, because of course MakerDeck is all of our makers, so we have over 350 makers now in 30 countries, and I'm sure some of them, actually we know some of them live in the Colorado area. So yes,
That's that's a great comment from K2 Kevin. Examine the model and scrub the layers before saving it. Absolutely. Yep. So manually move the model up and not up and down, but the layers, the sliced layers up and down. Look at the infill. See if there's going to be enough infill for what you need. If there's too much infill, maybe you can decrease that. Make
And
sure that
play with the
nothing's
types
printing
of
in air.
infill too.
Yep. Make sure nothing's starting printing in air. That's a pretty, might not be an easy one to see, but if you just see the filament like
Mm-hmm.
out in the middle of nowhere and then starting and printing, that's not going to print. So you need to support that. It generally won't print, but
Yeah,
so just keep
and
that
your
in mind.
filament does, yeah, your filament does matter because different depending on what your filament is, it's going to print completely. Yeah, it's going to print completely different. And if you have a translucent filament, for example, or something, um, some of my nebulas, for example, have like they start out pretty glassy, and you really want to make sure that with something like that, you use an infill that you don't mind seeing a lot of.
This is a good one. For prints that need good dimensional accuracy, slice out a key portion, do a small test print. I have a perfect example of that one. This is a base for one of the Rook printers, and they'll typically have rod inserts, not this one, but you have to be able to slide a linear rod into one of these holes. So instead of printing out this whole model, then realize it doesn't work, you can just only print this little section out and test it, make sure it works, and that'll
Hmm.
get you a good idea if the whole model's gonna work. I
Yeah,
have another
and
one over
also,
here.
yeah, and don't be afraid to like really make sure your bed is level. Do a mesh if you have the option to do that, and especially if you're going to go into like a major project. We have seen so many things like collapse overnight on MakerDeck, and it's heartbreaking. It's really
Hmm.
heartbreaking when you know that someone might not have made all the adjustments they need to make to print something. I can give you an example of something where everybody was freaking out. I knew I was going to be okay, but it was, oh, it's over there. Um, well, I can give you an example here because this was done, actually. This was done on the Focus, and that definitely, when you have some lifting in a corner or something, um, it can completely destroy a print depending on what it is. And so these are the sort of things where you want to make sure you have helper discs, or what else? What do they call them in other slicers? I don't know. I call them
Just
helper
a
discs, but
just a skirt, or I don't
yeah, a
actually use
skirt.
those. Yeah, that's another thing. I don't know how to put on those. I just assume if the model needs it, it'll have it. And I generally don't use brims, sorry, in general, because I don't
Okay.
like cleaning them off. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's
brim.
why I love organic supports now, or tree supports, because there's so much. I switched from just regular supports, and I used to use a brim, or a lot of the time, or raft. And when I switched over to snug supports, for example, in Prusa Slicer, that made things a lot easier. And then now with the organic supports, I'm really excited to some of the, like I said, my ongoing project is reprinting things that I had printed in the past, and seeing how they turn out. So,
Yeah.
oh
One last
yeah, and
tip I'll
here's,
give.
oh, sorry.
Oh, there you go. Go on
we
yours
got
first,
we
and I'll
got
talk about
two
those.
cooks in the kitchen. Okay, so um, Bob said, yeah, nightmare scenario. Parts knock loose, then blobs form, and you have to fix your printer. I've been there.
Yeah,
Now I have a
yeah.
smart plug. I do have a smart plug on my printer, and my version of Octoprint, or any of those things, is MakerDeck at this point. So someone can message me and say, you've got a problem. If I'm out, I can turn my smart plug off. Turn my smart plug off, and shut down my printer. There also is, and if you look in the clips on MakerDeck on Twitch, there's one time where I had I think it was Palpatine. Um, yeah, it was. I don't have him here. I might have thrown him away because I was so ashamed. I was doing Wexter's Palpatine mini, and I actually did him at 200%, and he started to fall apart. And so there's this footage of me like going in with like a butter knife and with electrical like I no I use painter's tape and all these sorts of things to sort of keep my supports up. And
You can do that. That does work.
yeah, you can do that, and sometimes you can hold on to it for a long time as it's printing, or pause it and start over. So yeah, you could have, it can be an adventure. But the beauty of MakerDeck, the beauty of printing something on MakerDeck is that someone notifies you right away. And there are a lot of people that are experts, or actually, very experienced people. Again, Austin and I have both only been we've been printing for less than a year. So there's a lot of people that can catch things before they become a problem, which is the beauty of MakerDeck, the helpfulness of people on MakerDeck saying, you might want to check your infill on that, or are you sure that you want to use those supports, or and that can save you a lot of filament, a lot of time, and a lot of grief. So
All right, and then one more comment, and we'll look at some of the makes. This one is a amazing suggestion and something that I've started to do. If if you print the same thing with the same profile, or this, always use the same profile, this isn't as important. But if you're printing something and you have to change about 20 settings to make this thing print well, all you do is go to File and then Save your project. It'll save everything, all the settings that you've done, but without modifying your profile. And then in the future, you can re-import that project and resume. Or maybe you want to print something similar that uses those settings. You can import the model and then delete the model and change it out. That's been something very, very important for me. Toys for Tots, that's another good example. When I was printing off the trains, I had made custom parts in it, and I wanted to make sure that was always there, so I saved as a project, and I was able to edit it in the future.
fantastic. So
We
I
have
think
some
we're going to do
finished parts on the
some
screen.
show and tell. One thing, actually, Austin, we didn't talk about is yesterday we had a very long meeting of the core group of MakerDeck, so members of Studio and some of our moderators. We had some really open, honest discussion about the direction that we're going in, and the future of MakerDeck. And one of the things that we are going to be working on is more programming. And one thing that we want to recognize is that we are more than just what you and I see on an everyday basis. For example, I I did pick a filament for this week, so I have a favorite filament for this week, and it's the cotton candy nebula by Protopasta. But that's my favorite of this week. I'm sure that every single maker has a favorite filament that they're working with this week, and so we want to not only showcase what we're doing, but also we want you guys to get involved. We want everybody to get involved. So there are going to be some there already have been some changes. We're here on YouTube and not streaming on Twitch. We're changing the direction of Coffee Talk. We're going to have, when we do have Coffee Talk, we're going to have some that are scheduled. We might still have some impromptu, but they're going to have a little more structure. And we also want more people to be involved. So I think one of the key things that we pulled out of yesterday's very long meeting of volunteers, keep in mind, almost everybody with MakerDeck is a volunteer, and then anyone else that might be compensated, it's very mildly compensated. But our volunteers work very hard to make MakerDeck work, and we want more of you involved in whatever ways possible. So I'm going to be working as the executive producer. I'm going to be working on getting a very detailed, clear volunteer form, because I know that a lot of you want to help in one way or another. And so let's find what one way or another you can help, whether you are in odd hours and you can help in the studio, if you want to help with programming, if you happen to have really good connections in the industry to help us find some sponsors or some opportunities to add to the mom program. There's all sorts of ways that people can help. If people want to be tasked to keep an eye on things on Discord, I mean, there's all sorts of things that we can do. And as always, like we have the most amazing team of volunteers, and you could you can be one too, because saving our maker deck is a thing to do. Kemner says, "What is that's some next level maker deck service? Go find the maker and notify them wherever they are." Yep. See, that's what Kieran just did.
Yep.
Kieran searched the internet. So yes, and Fix Some Dude says the meeting wasn't that long, maybe 12 hours. So only 6 of that was Chris talking.
Mm.
No, but we have a great team, and thank you to the volunteers for being there for the meeting and contributing your thoughts and your insight. So. But one of the things that we are doing, making an effort to do, is feature our makers more often. There are several different ways that you can share what you're up to. First of all, stream on MakerDeck. Share what you're making on MakerDeck. So whether you're working on a tapestry, or if you're printing something, or if you're designing something, whatever you're doing, share it. You can share it on directly on the Twitch channel in the StreamYard. The other thing that you can do is, of course, utilize our models to make, and also your maker portfolio. All of this is in our Discord, so I will put I'll put the links in the description, or go to our Discord and explore. And so what we're going to do now is look at some of the latest show and tell.
Yeah, and right before that, we
Yeah.
do have a giveaway for a spool of Polymaker filament that is pinned in the chat description. I don't know if you have it in the video description or just the chat.
It did not show up in the chat, the video description, for whatever reason, but it is in chat, and I can
All right.
also put it in chat again too. Or yeah.
All right. Yeah. Yeah.
There
So
we
enter that form
go.
if you want to win. That is for a spool of Polymaker PLA, PETG, ABS, or ASA. And if you're in the US or Canada, it's for a $40 credit to the respective online store.
All right.
So we'll be drawing
So
that
I
after
am
we share
going.
some makes.
Yeah. So I will not have all the descriptions for this because there's too much, looking back and forth. I'm going to try to remember what I covered. What I covered earlier today. I did do a coffee talk as sort of a a practice round of this. So I'm going to share my screen. And I will try to put as many links as possible in the description. That's the other thing when you're sharing models to make, and when you're sharing your show and tell, try to put a link to the model, or give a little bit of information about what you've done. All right. So apologies for my tab here. One of the first things, and this is something I forgot to show earlier, if you look behind me right now, here, I'll pull back for a second. If you look behind me, let's show me for a second. You can see I have garland up. I have Valentine's garland, and that is Fix Some Dude's Valentine's garland. He has up on printables, so you can see that some of us have already done some makes. So K2, of course, did his fancy schmancy photography. I did both traditional and kind of a funky version too. Of course, I did lots of fun colors. So that's one thing that we're sharing, one make.
Those are so cool.
All right. And another thing done by actually one of our mods, Big Jeno is sharing it, I believe, right here, is Pink's hex tray. And so we have it here. Oops, lots of makes of her hex tray, which we shared last week too, along with Austin. Oh, there's Austin's. And then Austin also has a tray, and that was in, of course, that entered into the catch-all trays competition on printables. All right. We have some low poly Pokemon, and this is actually by a fairly new maker. And I'm going to try to scroll here because I don't want to forget names, but you could admire the low poly Pokemon while I do that. And that was done by Totally Ridiculous. And Totally Ridiculous is the brand new maker who jumped right in. I love it when makers just jump right in, might have a few questions. And there is a link there will be a link in the description because there's a link in Show and Tell to the low poly Pokemon, which turned out great. Another thing, this is Yak Drudge. They have done one of my favorite things, which is the Spiral Vase Rose, and done a remix where it is printed all in one, where you do a filament swap from the stem to the rose, or you can keep it all one color if you'd like, and that's pretty fun.
Oh, wow.
So I'm gonna try this. I am gonna try this because I think they printed it on their they printed it on their Prusa Mini, so it's possible. And of course, Yak Drudge printed probably half a dozen of them this weekend on MakerDeck. So yes. Oh, and you're here as Tessellations, I think, and saying, yeah, I had so much fun figuring this out. And that's the cool thing about doing remixes. I think it does look like a dangerous print. But we watched it unfold on MakerDeck. This is this is Gut Ross, and these are the counters. I think they're Dungeons and Dragons life counters. Is that what they're called? I got in trouble this morning for not being nerdy enough because I didn't know enough about this kind of stuff. So, yeah, and I had to do some Stargate trivia and some other things. So, yeah, I'm not completely familiar with these sorts of things, but these were printed live on MakerDeck by Gut Ross. This is for the Scottis. This is done by I lost my place. Apologies. This is done by Cheese Bacon, and Cheese Bacon is learning to CAD, and so part of learning to CAD, he's done a few different things, and this is the latest. It's a Prusa toolkit holder for the IKEA Scottis, so that's pretty cool. And of course, next up, this is done by Kieran, our own Kieran /Decibel, and it is a clock spring case, which he's done for his wife for her crochet items.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah. A sliding case. This is done by my friend Laura's husband. And what does he go by on Discord? Let us see. For some reason, it decided to show up out of order. Professor Imagineer. I know he's an engineer, so anyway, he got his Polylite filament printing on his ender, and he has one daughter, Charlotte. So I'm sure that Charlie enjoyed this rose. Yeah, so it's fun. I didn't. This is one of those things where you find out that a friend of yours has a similar interest, and then I'm really thrilled to have them part of MakerDeck. I know that he's received a lot of tech support in the Discord, so that's pretty cool. And of course, do you have a drippy pail handy, Austin?
I do. I use this daily. Yep. This is the one with the 3 divider insert, which works well for hex keys and screwdrivers.
And hi, Diabolically Dan. How diddly do to you? Yeah, this is the a new remix, I think, of the Drippy pail or Drippy bucket. This is a Drippy bucket. This is by Major Gamer Geek. So it has paint leaks as well. So that's kind of fun. And it's done in oh my gosh, did it on the Mark III and Mark III's Plus in Polyterra Marble Slate Gray, Poly Light Yellow Blue, the Caribbean, the Poly Light Metallic Blue Pro PLA. So quite an array of filament to do a bucket. So that's kind of fun. All right. And next up, I believe that one of our Justins in chat is Omaha 3D. And if you've seen him printing on his bamboo, actually he's printing live on MakerDeck right now. Do I have MakerDeck up here? Yes, I do. There you go.
Always.
There's Omaha right there, printing these fighter minis by Fat Dragon Games. Nope, the other Justin. We've got two Justins here. And oops, and my make doesn't even have the right name. I'm a professional. Yeah, so you can see MakerDeck is running on Twitch, but this is the one of the things that Justin is printing. And hello, Taiwan Writer. Yes, the other Omaha. Yes, we've got people from all over the place. Yes, Justin Miller. So I think he has. How many do you have left, Justin? How many do you have left to print? I think you said 75. So something like that. And his camera kept on cutting out too today, so he was having a Monday for sure. We're happy to be part of your everyday. Local Maker Michigan, of course, is back with more low poly vehicles, and these ones are really neat.
It's a fun one.
He's done a couple different ones. This is a print in place one, so I'll bring it up here. There's a whole bunch of different ones done by this this designer. So this is the VW bus, and oops, and then there's another car here. So that's pretty fun. Now, Austin, is this something that you would print at home, or do you think that your little one might be a little rough on it?
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. You just gotta use again the right materials and print it adequately. One thing I found printing the larger cars, these ones right here by is it Turtle Man? The bottom, I use lightning infill, and the bottom's squishy because there's no support. So keep that in mind. If you want something structural, I recommend like a grid type infill.
There we go. All right. Awkward pause there. Okay, and next we have, I believe this is Rogue Commander. Yep, Rogue Commander has had a couple attempts. One time he was out driving Uber, and this is from Nico Industries, and it's a flexi scale dragon. So he was finally successful with this and was thrilled. And this is a person that started out on MakerDeck, I think, right in the middle of the holiday season, and it's really fun to see people improve as they go along and pick up on the different advice that people give and suggestions and make improvements. And another, I think next week we're actually going to talk about little adjustments or inexpensive ways to improve your printer. So that's they've done a lot of that too. All right, and there's some more. There's the failed print, I think, the little white one. That's the failed print, but you could, like I said this morning on MakerDeck during Coffee Talk, that's the kind of thing where you could like put that in a planter and have it be your little planter, friend or something. You can do lots of things with failed prints, so, or you can toss them. You decide. Here's another VW bus. This one, there will be a link in the description. It is, I think it has like 28 pieces or something. This is done by Shadow 3DP, printed by Shadow 3DP, and I mean that is absolutely gorgeous. Um, quite a piece. And this weekend we also had uh, who was it? Someone in Switzerland, right? I think he was Switzerland or the Netherlands. He was printing. He was putting together his A Team van, and so we've seen every single step of that on MakerDeck. That's one of the fun things about MakerDeck is that you get to see people do a project from start to finish. Or if you're Austin, you get to see them do a project
At least start the
from
project,
start.
right?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the fun of finishing projects?
Oh, oh, there's my zombies that I showed earlier. The brain eating zombies. I put that in show and tell. And I really, this is one thing that I've also learned over the last year or so is like taking a really good picture and editing it. That only took me 2 minutes. um as you can see, I took the liner out of my light box. That's just I use the texture of the inside of the light box. I threw the flowers behind to give it a little bit of color and dimension, and put on a bright light, and that's only taken with my phone. So that took me a few minutes, but it makes something that as you could see was a bit of a disaster. It turns it into something you know very pretty. So I have
Very nice.
yeah, I have improved that as well. Oh, there's another one of local makers. This is a little Jeep, I guess.
And I believe these were
And
sliced with organic supports, and they were
mhm.
sliced at like a weird angle to get those Keller
Yeah,
changes.
and that's the neat thing. I always enjoy local maker when he's doing things because yeah, he's always experimenting with things. Yeah, this afternoon I saw it like at this very strange angle, and I was like, "What is it?" And like, "Oh, okay, he's doing." And then of course it stopped, and he was doing a color swap. So yeah, that's fun. And this is by Solar 3DPJ. I believe he also has a link. He'll have a link in there of what he was printing. And since we have a few people that just joined us, I will do uh, Taiwan Writer, I believe, is in chat. And Taiwan Writer, I think I don't know whose Thanos this is, but it's done. It's a 20-hour print on the Bamboo Lab. So that is
Wow.
quite the Thanos. Yeah. So there you go.
Okay. Again,
Yeah,
as we
and I
wrap up
think
these
that is
makes, make sure to enter the Polymaker giveaway, and we'll be drawing that in a few.
yeah. There we have, yes. Oh, look, and now you can watch MakerDeck. Oh, the Taiwan writer says that was a photos mint. Yeah, so if you can, when you do something in show and tell, link to the model. That's
At
always
the
a nice
bare
thing to do.
minimum, if you have a 3D print, link the model, or it doesn't even have to be the model, but if it's a Patreon, link or say who it's by, so someone can find it. If you just share a model, like, hey, look at this thing I made, right? Like, no one's gonna know what this is. And if you don't know, at least say you don't know. It's better than nothing, but I prefer to
Yes,
have a link
that's
to the model.
yeah. Like when we were talking in our organization episode, I'm going to write this so I remember to put one of the things that we talked about in our organization episode was, of course, keeping our files organized. I think we're both bad at that. I'm pretty bad at that. I actually had someone remote into my computer today to help me with something, and they saw my desktop, and I was embarrassed because my desktop. Well, during the day, I do a lot of screenshots of things, to tell people that their make is finished, things like that. I don't always put them in the. I don't always trash them. I have about 6 bazillion folders on my desktop, and yeah, that was slightly embarrassing, but it's a good way to shame you into getting organized, just like keeping something like this all neat and organized.
Okay.
I don't have anything to hide. Trust me, I have nothing to hide, but
Just messy files.
messy files and some
I
really
don't want to talk
bad
about the
screenshots of
STLs.
people's makes.
Oh man, the STLs downloads folder. So
Okay, so
many.
you're guilty of that too.
Oh
You're guilty
yeah,
of that
yeah. I
too.
I tried to organize at one point. I will organize if it's a project. Like if it's a project with 10 pieces, I'll put it in a folder and then put it in a specific place. But if I'm just printing it once, I don't bother anymore.
It was pretty bad. Oh, but I don't have. Yes, I just got a message from Fix 'em Dude saying don't be embarrassed. We always tease both Fix 'em Dude. We tease Fix 'em Dude and Kurt Grosser about the number of tabs they have left open on their browser. I do have like all my tabs closed, but they're like 600 bazillion tabs open.
All the
Are
tabs.
you are you are you Kevin says, no need to embarrass. I had to self medicate after seeing that. I was just like,
Very
the whole
nice.
time I was like, don't look. He's like, why do you have so many folders? What don't shouldn't those folders
Uh,
go in documents? Shouldn't this go here? And I'm like,
well, hey, if it makes you feel better, Prusa is designing a system where you can go from printables, click a button, and then it launches the STL into your slicer directly. I am excited for that
yeah,
feature
that's
to be
pretty
a thing.
cool. That's pretty
It
cool.
is. You can do it right now, actually, in the beta, alpha.
I haven't set it up yet, but I think I will. Yeah.
Should. All right. I think that's all the content for today. Let me double check, but we went over
Mm-hmm.
some of the stuff we're working
Yeah.
on. We took a look at some news and new things. We shared some makes, talked about slicing. So I guess now it's time for a giveaway. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you guys 1 minute to fill out the form. It is pinned in chat. Once again, it's for a spool of Polymaker filament. Thanks to Polymaker, and I'll be sharing my screen and drawing that shortly.
Excellent. And if anyone has any questions now or any comments, I will be making some sort of formal announcement, and including the volunteer form sort of pinned everywhere on our Discord in the next week or so. That's one of my tasks for this week. And again, if you have anything that you would like to help with, if you have any ideas, always come to any of us. Really, we're all ears and all eyes, and anything you want to do to make MakerDeck better in your eyes, we're very open to it.
Absolutely. So let's see if this works. Yeah, look at that.
Oh, fancy. Okay, I'm going to take my.
Right here, I'm actually going to unshare this for 1 second. I can grab the names, paste them in. All right, so the form is done. If you have not entered, you are not entered. There we go. All right, so I think this is our third stream on YouTube. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, this is our third stream.
Okay.
Gourmet Creep said, "What did I miss about volunteers?" I said we will have a volunteer form uh, available sometime soon, and also if there's anything that you think we're missing out on and you might have skills to share, let us know in the meantime too. That
All
was
right.
all we were saying.
So I need a number between, um, let's see, 1 and 3.
7.
7.
Yeah.
2, 3, 2, 3, 2. That's a good pattern. 40, 47. Threes, 65. 1.5. That's a good one. Can we do that? Let's see. 1, then 0.5. So I'll click right here. All right, let's give this a spin. And the winner is Orbork.
Arbork.
Congratulations. Are you in chat?
Arbork, are you here? Arbork, can you hear us? Think we'll set a timer
Rigged.
here. Okay, I'm going to set a timer.
All right.
You have 25 more seconds. Yeah.
25 seconds. 20 seconds.
Arbork, are you here?
Ginger's here. Yes. All right. Congratulations.
Felicitations. Oh, hi,
Yeah, nice.
Ginger.
We will be
You
emailing
couldn't talk on your phone.
We'll be either emailing you or I'll message you over on Discord with the information. So congratulations.
Perfect.
And we'll give a sneak peek of some future upcoming streams while we're ending this. So looks like we are planning to talk about upgrading printers on a budget. So like simple upgrades you can do that make the best impact, the most notable changes, and useful tools and resources for printing. There's a lot of tools that you can get for printing. You can spend way more on tools than just printers, as goes all tools. So, talk about those, which ones are our favorites, and finding some suggestions for a future stream. And if you have any suggestions, please leave them over in the Discord, or if you're watching this in the future, leave a comment down below what you want us to talk about next.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
So thank you for, no, I think that's great. I love how we both have like MakerDeck logos and they're like almost in the same place.
Mine's bigger than
It's kind of
yours.
cool. I don't have a cat. I do have I have a zombie eating brains, but I don't have a ginger. So my apologies. Oh, this is something that I'm going to be reprinting actually. This is a Vader, another Wexter mini with this broken lightsaber and all kinds of things. So anyway, stay tuned to see what we'll be sharing. And Ginger, are you gonna say goodbye?
All right, say bye, Ginger. Bye.
Aww.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Everybody give a thumbs up in chat right now too. Yeah. So thank you for joining us for Zee and Zed. Again, we're happy to have you. I will try not to say so much, and we will try not to have as many awkward pauses, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's so different. I think, Austin, you'll agree. It's so different to go from Twitch, where it's like, this is gone. After this video is gone. Yeah. It's live and we're finished. And this, which is going to exist. There are plenty of videos of me that exist on YouTube, and I'm not going to link them. You can search for them. I'm in Perillo vlogs and things like that. We don't need to remember that, but this is something that exists now. So it's a different feeling. It's a bit of a different feeling for sure. And always, while you're waiting for another Zee and Zed, join us for coffee talks. And if you want to get involved in programming, certainly you can go into Discord and hit !programming and chat. All sorts of ways for you to get involved, and you can always be streaming on MakerDeck. So,
all right.
Merci beaucoup. Yeah.
Bye.
A bientôt.